Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 26 updates and spoilers. Hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday today. It is thunder and lightning here, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it won't be a problem. But our house guest of the day is Alan Houston. Alan, thank you so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below or the description. I'm stuck in 2008 or whatever. Okay. And I also wanted to mention, as I have been this season, we are finally affiliates for Paramount Plus. So if you're still looking to get the live feeds, we have a link for that in our description as well. And if you use our link, we get a little kickback. So we appreciate that greatly. All right. So when we left off yesterday, Cedric was preparing to make his nominations. He was planning on putting up Angela, Kenny, and Tucker. Let's break down these nominations. Hi. Angela is Cedric's #1 target this week. Then Kenny talked to Cedric and he was like, put me up. I want to go home. Again. And then Tucker volunteered to go up as a pawn again. Oh my God. So Tucker, Kenny, and Cedric then formed an alliance called Shake It Up. Okay. And Tucker and Kenny were really pushing, like, there's a girls' alliance. We need to break that up. Tucker was trying to get Mackenzie up on the block so they could flush out her power. But Cedric was like, no, I'm scared. He doesn't want to do it. And now, with all this game talk, Kenny maybe doesn't want to quit. The back and forth is so exhausting. I wish he would just freaking pick one way or the other. If you're going to leave, just leave. If you're going to stay, then play the game. Just the back and forth needs to stop. So Kenny is saying, if I'm up against Angela, I want to stay. But then he's like, if I'm up against Tucker, I'm fine to go home, right? I don't want him going home instead of me. And the situational quitting is just ridiculous. Just freaking quit. Go home. Also, Cedric is planning on putting his 2 new allies on the block. I'd love to see that backfire. I would love to see Tucker or Kenny go on Cedric's HOH. But I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Brooklyn, Rubina, T-Core, they are already noticing the shift in Kenny's energy. Before he was all, I want to quit. But now he's buddying up to Cedric and Tucker, and suddenly Kenny's all happy and bright and ready to talk game. So these ladies are suspecting that there may be a guys alliance forming. They think it's Kenny, Cedric, and Tucker. They also think that Cam is a part of it. As far as we've seen, Cam is not a part of it, but those other 3 guys, yeah, they clocked it. And Kenny has also been going around saying there's a girls' alliance and Brooklyn is running it. So the girls are aware of this now and they are watching Kenny. Are they going to do anything about it though? Let's get into it. So hold on, I just want to answer this question. Do you think Kenny is still waiting for jury stipend? I don't know about necessarily jury stipend, but if he decides to leave the game on his own, like he DORs, that would force him to surrender his stipend. He would not get paid for the time that he's been there already. But if he's just voted out, then he gets paid for his time that he was there. So I think that's what it is. But anyway, T-Core, Rubina, they were chatting yesterday about how those guys are going to have to be broken up because it's looking like they're working together. So T-Core says if the opportunity presents itself this week, maybe they should be taking Kenny out instead of Angela. Yeah, hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. The only thing I will say is, like, honestly, they should really be thinking about taking Tucker out, right? Because Tucker is a much better player than Kenny. And Kenny is still going to want to quit. So if you take Tucker out, it's a much stronger game move. But maybe they just figure he's going to be off the block by Thursday, either via the veto or the AI arena competition. But honestly, I don't know if they're ready for that conversation yet of taking out Tucker. I don't think Rubina's going to want to be voting him out. I think other people will be like, it's too soon. We can't do it. So we'll see. But I think that is the strongest move for these ladies. So they have the nomination ceremony, and Cedric stuck to the plan. And we've got Angela versus Kenny versus Tucker up on the block. So after the ceremony, it was pretty chill. There was lots of little chit-chat conversations, whatever. Later, we do have some game talk to talk about. So later, Cedric, Cam, and Joseph are chatting in the HOH room. And Cedric brings up, there's this rumor going around that the girls are trying to get an alliance going, an all-girls alliance. So he's asking what everybody thinks about that. And Cedric's like, I'm not really sure if it's a real thing. I'm not sure how much weight it holds. But he says even if they are starting a girls' alliance, he's not worried about it. He was asking, like, how many competitions are those girls really going to be winning anyway? Excuse me. It would appear that we have more equitable competitions this season. And the women won the first two HOHs and veto. So I think there's a good chance they'll be winning competitions. But if you want to underestimate them like that, that's fine. So Joseph brings up, yeah, Mackenzie could be a threat. Brooklyn could be a threat. But he feels like Mackenzie's going to be targeted soon. Like, she's not going to be around for very long. And he says if we can keep Brooklyn close, maybe she won't come after us. So he's not super concerned about this girls alliance. I think he also figures, look, I got Chelsea in my core alliance. She's going to look out for me. So he didn't want to say that in front of Joseph, though. So Cam brings up that I don't know who this they is, but he says they want Brooklyn to be a part of the collective now, and they have already told her that she's in it. So it's still a mystery, even up to now, who brought Brooklyn into the alliance. I don't know if it was ever on the feeds. I did not catch it. I don't know who it was. But just a reminder, the collective is this alliance. It was one of those massive alliances from the very beginning. This is the one that Quinn and Joseph put together and went up to tell Angela about, like, the night before her freak out. And they were like, okay, this is the alliance and you're in it. And she was like, but then the next morning she was like, and the people who came to visit me last night. She's talking about, like, Joseph and Quinn, right? So the collective is Joseph, Cedric, Cam, Chelsea, Quinn, T-Cor, and Chemo, right? This is the one that Angela was supposed to be in. She is being left out of it now. So as of that point, it's like 7 people. But now Joseph is hearing Brooklyn is also a part of this. She is number 8. So he's upset that she was brought into the alliance without any discussion about it. This alliance has not even met fully all together for the first time. Or, like, it's never happened. They've never met together. So he says, I don't have a problem with Brooklyn. It's probably better that she's on our side than against us. But he's like, I just don't like how she was brought into this group like this, like, without consulting the rest of us. I know, right? The collective, is that actually still a thing? Right? Joseph seems to think it is. I don't think anybody else is that dedicated to it. But these 3 decide the collective should finally meet for the first time later that night to discuss things. They're setting a 12:30 a.m. meeting time. We'll come back to that. So Joseph, he lets Chelsea know, hey, we're going to be having a meeting. And he tells her, we need to make sure that we're keeping Chemo and T-Cor close because he senses Rubina is starting to get her claws into them and she's going to pull them away from the collective. Dude, so many people in this alliance have set up other actual real alliances. So you got to catch up, man. You are so far behind. In other news, also, he has something weird against Rubina. I don't know what Joseph's deal is, but he seems to have it out for her. And I don't get it because Rubina seems amazing. But in other news, Angela and Kenny have a chat in the backyard. And they're talking about how hard it is being away from their families. And Kenny tells Angela, I love your passion and your energy. Your fight to stay in this game is amazing. I mean, he clearly does not have that himself. And I have to mention, too, earlier in the day, Kenny, like, went up to Angela and was like, I'm ready to sacrifice my game for you so you can stay. And she was like, what? Is this for real? Like, what's your deal? And he got all, like, goofy about it. And it was almost, like, flirty. It was weird. But anyway, Kenny says he's really glad that they flipped the vote around and kept Angela. There was no flip. Lisa was always the target last week, but okay. So Angela says, I'm not even sure where that came from. I'm not sure why they decided to keep me. And Kenny's like, I think it's mostly because Lisa was rubbing people the wrong way. But he also says they saw your passion for being here. If that's what you want to say. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was because they wanted Lisa out, but okay. So then Kenny, hold on a sec. Okay. So then Kenny starts talking about Tucker and how he's a lone wolf. He's not really running the house. He says Cedric doesn't really have anyone or anything going on. You are so mistaken, Mr. Kenny. Also, Kenny is always so obvious about who he's working with. He did the same exact thing with Matt week 1, where he was like, oh yeah, Matt's so trustworthy, like you should work with Matt. So now he's like, yeah, you should trust Tucker and Cedric for sure, like they're not running anything. Okay. But Kenny says, I either want Tucker to win the power veto and pull himself down, or for Cedric to win the veto and keep the nominations the same. And he says, that'll give you, Angela, another week to work your magic. And he tells her, if you stay calm and cool, anything can happen. What the F is this? Has he already flipped to wanting to leave again? And now he's telling Angela, like, I want you to stay over me? What is this? Or is he just playing her and acting like he wants to go, but in reality, he wants to stay up on the block against her, and then she gets voted out? It's too much. So Angela starts crying and talking about how people leave whenever she comes into the room. And Kenny's like, yeah, that happens to me sometimes too. Like, don't take it personally. And Angela's saying no one wants to make moves. They're just playing summer camp. And Kenny, of course, again is like, well, you can trust Tucker and Cedric. Oh my God. These are his new freaking, these are his new sons now that Matt's gone. All right. So later, Chelsea is still trying to get Leah on the block. Nominations are over, but she's trying to get Leah on the block. She seems to be very jealous of whatever Leah and Cam have got going on. She keeps calling it, I can't remember now if it's a low budget or low rent showmance. She was also at one point talking about how Cam, like, God spent extra time working on his face or something, but she's not sure if he washes his crack. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I think she's into Cam, so she's jealous of Leah. So Chelsea is telling Cedric, if the veto is used, Leah should go up as the replacement nominee. And then she's like, you know what? Let the house decide who should go this week. If they feel like Leah is more of a threat than Angela, then so be it. You know, we get Leah out, and then we take out Angela another time. Cedric says, if he puts Leah up on the block, he's really nervous about Mackenzie using her power to save Leah, and then those two are both going to come after him next week. And Chelsea's like, no, only one person's going to be upset if Leah goes, meaning, I guess, Cam. She says Mackenzie wasn't even that mad when Matt went, so she'll be fine with Leah leaving. She's really trying. She really is. So anyway, in other news, the collective did eventually have their meeting last night. I think it was around 12:30 a.m., maybe a little bit after. And that meeting was the full alliance minus Chemo. So Joseph, Cedric, Cam, Chelsea, Quinn, T-Court, and Brooklyn were all there. Chemo was asleep at the time. He was filled in on the meeting the next morning. All right. So Joseph kind of really takes the lead in this meeting because he's the only one who really cares about this alliance and thinks it's a real thing, I guess, at this point. But Joseph says, all right, the point of this meeting is to make sure that we're all rocking together, right? We're going to see what happens with this veto. We're going to see who wins. But on a grander scale, they're talking about how we're all going to make decisions as a group. It's going to be majority rules. So even if you want something and the rest of the group votes for something else, you got to go with the group. We'll see how long that lasts. Come on. The classics, you know, if you hear anyone in the group's name come up, make sure you bring it to them. Make sure you tell them about it. It's really not anything revolutionary. He says we all bring different skills and relationships to the table, blah, blah, blah. So it's time to get down to business. Chelsea asks who's going up if this veto is used. You know she wants it to be Leah. So Cedric says there's basically two options that he would consider at this point, Rubina or Leah. So then they start talking about this week's eviction vote, and they seem to agree that Tucker will be safe no matter what. Just like last week, if he is up on the block, he's going to be safe. Angela is target number 1. She goes against anybody. Kenny is target number 2 if Angela wins either the veto or the BBAI. So they also talked about whoever stays between Angela and Kenny, they will be the target next week. How exciting. All right. So Joseph says, we've all got a gun for every single HOH. We can't be playing it safe, right? We need to be in control of this game. And he also just throws out, I think it'd be good to keep Tucker around for a while. I think he would be a good distraction in front of us. Like, people won't realize we're working together because they're just going to be so distracted by, like, all of Tucker's crazy antics and him winning competitions. That's not sketch at all. Joseph is also saying the boring seasons of this show are the ones with the easiest path to the end, right? No like power shifts or anything, just like a big alliance sticking together. So he's like, let's make this a boring season. I hope he's just saying this in front of these people, but he doesn't actually mean it. Wasn't he the one in his preseason stuff where he was like, I'm going to get into an alliance and then stab them all in the back? I can't remember if that was him or Quinn, but hopefully he's just saying that right now because that's so boring. I thought he came in here wanting to put on a good show, so we'll see. But later, Joseph is talking to the cameras. He feels really good about how the meeting went with the collective. He thinks he's got a really good thing going with them. But he says, I want to ride this out with Tucker and use him as a weapon. But he says Tucker is really going to have to win some competitions here and put up people from the collective, right, and target them. So he's like, hopefully I wasn't too obvious in the meeting about wanting to keep Tucker around. I mean, you made it pretty obvious. He says his goal, not necessarily in this order, but it's to take out Kenny, Rubina, and Mackenzie. He would really like the final 10 to be the 8 people in the collective, Tucker and Leah. He says maybe, when we get to that point, someone will get squirrely and put up Cam and Leah, and he'll be able to take out Cam, so that's a big threat gone. But Joseph says he likes his chances right now. People are going to underestimate him. He's not going to be good in competitions, but he says, I'm not playing scared. I really want to root for Joseph, but, like, what he was saying last night and, like, this morning, just, I don't know, not really it. But after a bit, Joseph was called to the diary room, and he says, I'm the star of the show. I think he was joking when he said this. Like, I think he was saying it sarcastically. I know a lot of people online were taking it seriously, but, like, I think he was joking. So, anyway, late last night, after his DR session, Joseph spilled to Tucker about the collective meeting. So Joseph names off everyone in that group. He tells Tucker, I really need you to win competitions and take shots at that group. And Tucker's like, cool. If I win, I would take a shot at Brooklyn since she's like the glue keeping the girls' alliance together. Boo! Hate it. But Joseph's like, yeah, I'm cool with this. He brings up how she was the last one brought into that collective alliance. And he thinks at this point that Chelsea brought her in. I honestly couldn't tell you. But he would be down to see Brooklyn get targeted. I think Tucker also mentioned at one point taking a shot at Quinn in a few weeks, but I'm not 100% sure on the details of that. Okay, so that was all last night. Today, apparently Tucker has not been sleeping well and woke up in a funk this morning, and Kenny is a little bit distraught. He's worried about it because he really wants Tucker to get it together. So much of his game rides on Tucker. He's like, we can't have like 2 people that are like, ugh. So, like wanting to quit or whatever, or not fully in it. So in other news, Joseph this morning was kind of trying to hunt down who brought Brooklyn into the collective without consulting the rest of the group. So he talked to Chelsea about it. And Chelsea's like, well, it wasn't me. Maybe it was Cedric. And Joseph is like, well, Cedric says it wasn't him. I think he asked Quinn about it. I don't know what Quinn's answer was, but we'll see if he continues this line of questioning later on. They had the Power Veto player pick this morning. So, of course, the 3 nominees are playing, Angela, Kenny, and Tucker. The HOH, Cedric. And then the 2 extra players are Leah and Mackenzie. Oh my God, what are the chances? Cedric was talking to Kenny after the nomination or after the POV player picks, and he's not super jazzed about these picks. Cedric is worried because he knows Mackenzie is a strong competitor. She's a great athlete, and he does not want her winning that POV, right? Because she is a potential replacement nominee. Also, if she wins this veto, that's going to mean that she's still going to have her power for next week. So, yeah, he doesn't want her to win. Kenny is telling Cedric now, if I'm up against Angela on Thursday, I want to go home. What? Why is he saying this now? I guess he just sees Angela's passion for this game and he knows he doesn't have it. So he wants to go home and let her stay. Like, it's too much. It's too much. Just leave now. Like, you're wasting our time. Just leave. He's saying, also, this is even more off the wall. He's saying if Tucker wins the power of veto, he would love to see Tucker use it on Angela instead of on himself. Was there a gas leak in this house? Like, what? So his ideal scenario would be for Angela to come off the block with the power of veto, and then someone else goes up with him and Tucker. Tucker wins the AI competition, and then everyone votes out Kenny. Just leave. Just leave. So, yeah, that's his ideal scenario. We'll see. But the feeds are down now for the POV competition. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be livid if the feeds come back and we find out that Kenny won. I just can't deal with that. But if you want to check back later, I will put the POV results in the info for this stream. So now I just want to thank all of our super chatters so much because we could not do this without you guys. Susan Pengilly, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Nanita Madrano, thank you so much. Nanita says, bye, Leah. Bye. Let's see who gets pooched. You think Leah's going to go? I don't know. I could see her going up as a potential replacement, but I don't know if I see her going. And this is Nadita's 10th super on a live stream. Woo! Mary Ellen L., thank you so much for the super chat. Mary Ellen says, love your updates. Thank you. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Justin Tanner, thank you so much. Justin says, hi, Maddie. Which house guest do you think is in the best position right now? That's a great question. Honestly, I really like, I mentioned this the other day, I really like what Chemo and T-Core are doing. I think Chemo is in a slightly better position than T-Core just because, of course, T-Core is going to be lumped in with the supposed Girls Alliance, which I don't know how serious that actually is. So I think he has a leg up on her with that. But I do like both of them right now and how they're playing so far. So I think they're doing great. Sean Davis, thank you so much. Sean says, I still can't get over the Angela and Cedric interaction in the kitchen. He looked overwhelmed, confused, scared, all in one. I know, right? I love you, Cedric, and I love T-Core. I'm so over Kenny. Just go home at this point. I'm getting tired of Joseph. I am also so tired of Kenny. Just like the back and forth about whether he wants to be there or not. It's just like a slap in the face that everyone has to go along with what he wants in the moment, if he wants to be there or not. Like, there are so many other people who would rather be there and they would actually play the game hard. So it's irritating. And you're getting tired of Joseph. I feel like Joseph is just getting started. I feel like he's getting a little over the top in this last 24 hours. I think he can reel it in a little bit. I also think he needs to kind of play catch up since he kind of sat back last week, and he needs to see that there are other things going on and the collective just ain't it. But we'll see if he wakes up. B. Tina, thank you so much. Much love. Wendy Will, thank you so much as always. Oh, hello. So again, I want to thank everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoy your evening. I will be back tomorrow night to recap the episode. I'm not doing a live stream tomorrow, but we'll be talking about the episode. So we'll see you all there. And oh yeah, I think Brooklyn, is playing a great game so far, but she is on people's radar because Kenny keeps spreading around that she's like in charge of this Girls Alliance, which is annoying. But anyway, thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, much love. Bye, everybody.